Welcome back, YouTubers, to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you follow me and you're new to my channel, I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness and sharing my life stories with Asperger's syndrome, OCD and the like, along with some tips and advice for your general health, this is your mental health, as well as some fun and games that you may have seen already in some of my videos. So if you're new to my channel, I welcome you. I hope that you find some comfort, peace, clarity, understanding, or whatever it may be that you're looking for on my channel, that hopefully I can be your girl to try and maintain what I can with you and contacting you, or just being able to engage with you any way possible. So as I said before, it has been brought to my attention that I've been doing the Autism Man series, but I'm kicking that off at the moment, leaving it, and just hopefully focus on some of these important topics that has been spoken about through the Altogether Autism conference that was on last month in July of this year. And hopefully in saying this, that we'll learn something along the way together after my research, trying to do my darn hardest from what I can recall and understand, even though during my absence, not being there, hopefully that I can just be able to clarify, even though I'm still awaiting on some responses from some of the speakers that were there, if they can assist me in any way. So if any of them are watching, or if you know of any of the ones that I actually introduced to you guys about it, please let me know and maybe see if you can get hold of them on my behalf, as I've been trying to wait, and I really want to push this forward to try and get it done hopefully for the next 2-3 weeks, maybe by, I don't know, second, third week of September this year, hopefully, which hope in due time won't kick me off behind my schedule of other topics that I really want to address with you all, that is close to my heart regardless what it may be. So one of the topics that was brought about in the Altogether Autism is a Professor Rita Jordan, who basically talked about two topics, one which was the current understanding of the autism spectrum and the implications for education and support, and the other one was the self-implicating behaviours of, self-harm and the autistic behaviours. As you know, basically I've already talked a little bit about self-harm in autistics, so I'll link that in the eye as well as maybe in the description if you want to read that, watch that to gain understanding on my knowledge, experience and whatnot in that area. So let's begin this anyway before I run out of time. There has been a number of continuation of significant advances in knowledge about the nature of people with autism, and also the behavioural consequences that comes in the territory for autistic children and the like. They say knowledge is power. The importance for knowledge in itself simply refers to the condition of knowing something. It's the information, facts, principles and understanding and so on that is acquired through education and experience that we go through in our everyday lives. Without the experiences that we go through, the good, bad and the ugly, it won't teach us the life lessons that we have come to make us as a better person today. Knowledge in itself, though, however, is powerful and is a most important contributor or giver of life. When knowledge is given to someone, this doesn't even decrease. It's far from it. As we know, it increases. As we know that saying, knowledge is power, is a popular proverb, however. It means that the knowledge is more powerful than any other physical strength, and no greater work can be done without the knowledge that is given to us. Knowledge is a powerful factor that impels people to achieve great results. There's no end to knowledge, however. There's no limits to what a person can learn as well. Unfortunately, at the end, however, the power of knowledge is being used by many more destructive purposes. This is undesirable. Destructive purposes, in other words, people acting like gods, and we need to follow them like little black sheep by rules and regulations and their expectations. At the very same time and moment, though, however, there's still a conflicting conceptualisation and many myths still about awareness, even though awareness has been growing. But still there is a lack of understanding and agreement about what we all need, what all this new information, I should say, means, and how that can be translated into the improved education and support services that is needed for not just for autistic people but others alike. There's been a huge emphasis or demand that gradually is moving to attempt to fix a child yet the child isn't or wasn't broken in the first place. By trying to fix the child towards providing supportive and enabling environments, however, this can cause dire consequences. And past emphasis on normalising the child, we know that there's no such thing the child, or shall we say, no such thing as normal. We should all be allowed to be different, allowed to speak our minds, act our own certain ways, and not to be confined to what society wants us to be, how we should act, say, or think. We should be our own individualised person. Difference, not necessarily disability. Being different isn't accepted to be in the norm. Autism isn't a disability, however. Again, I've talked about this, and I'll link that in the IBEAN as well. Failure to fix the child leads to more stress and stigma for the child and family. They say that if it's not broken, no need to try and fix it. But why do we defend to fix everything with children? Sometimes I've seen many adults try to model coddle their child or try to prevent a child from doing mistakes so that they can just carry that burden or what have you, even preventing the problems before it even happens. The so-called snowplow parents. Parents need to let kids to make mistakes and learn from them in order to learn the hard tasks and challenges at hand, so that we can go through the hard times and learn from those mistakes that is given. There's no way to truly master something without actually experiencing it. My question is, why do parents fall in that trap in the first place of the fix-it trap? I want to challenge you guys this. You can answer that question below, or I've got some answers, but it may not be the right ones, but you can answer to them as well. 1. Pity or guilt. Perhaps your child is adopted, child has a disability, or even you had a broken relationship with your ex, or the child even may have troubles fitting in to society. Parents may take on the kids' responsibilities, however, as their own, so their child can feel less burden or cope with the everyday challenges easier. 2. Parental anxiety. Sometimes parents don't like to see a child that's struggling, and that's when the parents will step in and take over their child. When this happens, you as a parent, however, is robbing your child of a growth opportunity which may never come again. Number 3. Your child has trained you. Emotional blackmail is a favourite form of acting out on the behalf of a child. But fixing things and doing things for your child in this case comes at a high price tag. Not only are you sending your child a message that you don't think they can, meet their responsibilities, but another message that you may be sending is that you don't believe that they can control their own emotions. We need to concentrate on overcoming the positive effects and building on the positive effects. The concept of autism, not of itself is a disorder, still less of a disease. Autism is a part of the child, it's a diagnosis, and we need to accept it and embrace it, no matter what else arises. A vulnerability. Many people think that child that is autistic is a vulnerable kind of person, but in reality we're not vulnerable, we're still humans. We should be able to validate our feelings or being able to express our feelings, thoughts and emotions just like any of you guys should, even if we do take on a different outlook on life. If not supported, a disorder. We need help mentally and physically as well, just like anybody else, but it's just being able to find the right support group that will be able to help us. Mutual lack of empathy between supporters and those with ASD. It is given that, as I said before, that many people think that autistics ain't empathetic, which therefore isn't always the case. Some autistics are more empathetic than others, so therefore we need to actually engage in that and actually learn from it. Now, the persistent myth behind this is one learning style. Many people think most autistics, or many of the times, but not all visual learners. But in a actual fact, there can be a visualization versus a tactile, what have you. Confusion between sociability and sociability. When 96, sociability varies between individuals and individuals over time. Withdrawn, responsive, only, active but odd, eccentric. Social intensity is diluted by numbers. Sensory issues not all about oversensitivity. This can be varied, some being undersensitive, some have synesthesia, some delayed. Even though that many autistic has different sensory issues regardless of what it is. It's also confusion between violence and aggression. Sometimes when it comes down to it, some autistics may not be able, as I said, to be able to speak and speak them on. Choice not always good. We need to make informed choices. Often some of the sources of high strength stresses. Autism friendly. Choice. Only valuable if informed. Hard to teach if follows conformity training. We need to be in mind that some of this we need to train ourselves and actually educate ourselves in a way to know how to actually educate or teach ourselves to teach the child that is autistic. It can be overwhelming and therefore cruel or routine and meaningless. Autism access barriers. Isolated and anti-educational. Sometimes some schools will likely to not be able to, involve us autistics, which is wrong. Environment needs to be individually adapted. Is waving better than clapping? Is dark and gloomy always better than bright? Public access periods, ghettos. People with ASD shouldn't be seen as canaries in the mine. Steps to understanding is autism aware, autism friendly, autism intelligent. Inclusion and educational support. Newer interventions move away from fixing the child in one-size-fits-all category. The aims in intervention basically is understanding and fit. Kids start and startup. Ecological support enables generalization. Settings, classrooms, homes, community. Agents, teachers, TAs, parents. Yet less than 40% interventions in ecological settings. Support in the mainstream. One-on-one, only effective while in operation. Some prolonging of effects if rewards in one-on-one situation is unpredictable. Self-management is helpful. Self-chosen goals recording can gain child and independence. Peer mediation. Peer modelling, peer reinforcement, peer tutoring, pivotal response training prompts. So therefore in this case, however, this is important in everyday things. However, if we do the right thing. Positive behaviour support. Prevent, teach, reinforce. PRT. Functional assessment, assessment-based interventions. 5-step process involving all stakeholders. 1. Develop team with clear roles. 2. Joint social behavioural academic goals needs to be addressed and how to achieve them. 3. Functional ecological assessment. 4. All trained to implement. And 5. Evaluation by all. Adults with ASD, reflections in midlife. Report that life is a struggle, limited opportunities, continuing effort, anxiety, need for coping strategies to present a false self. So sometimes with us autistics, once we reach into transitioning into, teens to adults life, sometimes we do find it really darn hard to find the right support services. And obviously in that time of reflection, how I see it, we sometimes put on a brave face and actually mask everything behind us or mirror something that we see that is deemed fit appropriate, even though we feel maybe icky because we're not acting like ourselves. There's a lack of understanding from others, especially at work and from GPs. Sometimes we also are falling through the gaps like dyslexics and certain support systems that is given. There is a need for more true awareness inside society and less misinformation. A focus on the positives. Problems need to be recognised, not neglected, however, but focusing on problems is counterproductive. Neglect the wilder picture, e.g. sharing seat, stigmatizes and depresses staff and students, at best leads to solution but not to quality of life. Need to flourish, become the best they can be, not just to achieve set goals but to cope with everyday life, regardless what throws at them, foster resilience and thus happiness. What's special about ASD? The value of diagnosis. Need to learn explicitly what others acquire intuitively or through social tutoring. Saliency of social signals, joint attention, agency and intention, relevance and priority, social cultural meaning, nature of communication, emotional consciousness. Difficulties and differences. Executive functions, monotropic attention, impulse control, idiocentric perception, imagination and reality testing, sensory differences, empathy and emotional conscious understanding, concept development, problems abstracting, rigidity of concept and scheme and boundaries. Strengths. Sustained attention to interest, can be motivators, can be respite to cope with stress. No social distractions, usually visual information, careful attention to detail, accurate detailed memories, fresh idiocentric art, visual poetry, music. Special interests provide best performances and may be stress reducing and thus will enable them to cope better. Role of education. As entitlement to broader and relevant curriculum, human right, adult success need to consider reality of access. As therapy addressing the problems presented by ASD. Both aspects are needed but vary in priority with individual needs. Measuring and describing. Notice the above effect from negative descriptions of autism. Measures seldom reflect quality of life from viewpoint of those on the spectrum. Hard to unpick the effects of autism from the effects of stress in coping in an unfriendly world. Benefits of valued role models is crucial here. Well-being. Dodgy Yale 212. When psychological, social and physical resources are sufficient to meet a particular psychological, social and or physical challenge, then you have a stable well-being. Another research, 1994, Lazarus Folkman, transactional model of stress, negative stress when demands outweigh the coping responses to anybody. Understanding the vulnerability. Within child factors, poor communication skills, poor social understanding, associated problems from comorbidities. Situation factors, cohesive, lack of support. Within carer factors, poor training, lack of understanding, empathy, lack of alternative strategies. Literal reading of behavior. Use natural, intuitive understanding assumes same intentions doesn't always allow for idiocentric perception. Uneven profile of skills, e.g. speech but little understanding. Or different meanings and priorities, sensory sensitivities, lack of conjunctural adaptability, lack of self-assertiveness, incapacity to initiate. Dealing with loss and disappointment. Loss of person. Replace the function and place in the life of the person. Filling happy memory pictures with future plans. Loss of a goal. Start early in teaching alternative routes to a goal. Teach disappointment in supportive settings. Fostering realistic optimism. Use ecological curriculum approach to life to social skills. Accurate appraisals of self, appraisal of expected environments, plan for future coping. Help to notice good things that does happen. Teach mindfulness and avoid too much worry over the future, too much anger and distress over the past. Quality of life. A full life work as well as play. Manage risk to enable excitement and growth. Contributions to own environment and to others. Supportive eyes to ensure aspirations are realistic and progress to meet them supported. Artistic, aesthetic, spiritual life is recognised. Not stress-free but support to cope with stress. In conclusion, staff can't understand it or meet the needs unless they have specific training that has come into play. Most problems result from earlier failures in education care systems, but never too late to make a difference or a change. Neglect of this basic training for all levels of staff is tantamount to abuse. The resulting harm and wasted lives for staff is incalculable. Well, this quickly ends a little bit about the current understanding of the autism spectrum and implications for education and support. Give me a like for thumbs up for support, comment below. Feel free to comment below if you feel that I should add a few more bits to this one, because as I said, I'm still doing some research on some parts here for these notes for you guys to learn from. So no further ado guys, thanks for the support, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so, if you want to be part of my YouTube family, to be on this journey of mine. Don't forget to, while you're down there, to turn on the notification bell. Feel free to follow me on my social media sites. Feel free to share these videos around to family and friends. Feel free to basically message me if you need be through my Aspie Answers, and I'll do my darn hardest to, respond to many questions or whatever it may be you want. Right, so enough for the day. Thanks for your support, thanks for watching. Do what you love, love what you do.